don't think it would make a ton of sense to have Paul Heyman be on Solo's side after everything that they did to Paul Heyman, put him through a table, made his life a living hell. I mean, he was on national television begging CM Punk to take him with him, which was also a great setup for this matchup. Yeah. I think the whole dress up thing is a red herring. I don't buy into it whatsoever. Well, here we are back again. The gang is together one more time. Back-to-back weeks. We got pay-per-view, premium live event, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's Survivor Series WarGames this coming Saturday. Rick Ucchino, Adam Barnard, and Zack Heydorn here for the Takedown on SI YouTube channel. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And it is time to break down, thankfully, what quickly turned into a 5-match card this week, gentlemen. I'm not going to lie. I was sweating this out. I'm like, are they really only going to have 3 matches on this card by the time we record this show? Thankfully, Monday Night Raw came and went, and they added 2 more title matches onto this program to give us 5, which I think for Survivor Series, considering that there's 2 WarGames matches, Adam, I think 5 is the sweet spot. It's perfect. You don't need to add a 6th.
No, I think 5 is a perfect number, especially for this event now that they added WarGames into it. I mean, even in the original incarnation, you didn't need any more than 5. Anything more than that is too much with the way they have it set up. So, yeah. But I am thrilled that they gave us a little bit more meat on the bone to talk about today.
Yeah, Zach, wouldn't be surprised if by the time, Friday rolls around, maybe they add a tag team title match, right? Because just there's been so much build there with the Street Profits and the Motor City Machine Guns and Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, but I don't know what's going on with DIY right now and whether or not they're even going to be a team by this kind of time on Friday, but would not be surprised if there's a 6th match added, because I know Tony Khan got us last week and added Ricochet and Takeshita at the last second.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. The other thing to consider too is, Saturday night's main event is right around the corner as well. So like they're essentially building like 2 shows essentially back to back. And so, ordinarily, if it made sense to put that tag title match on Survivor Series, or even, Cody, Kevin Owens in a regular world would be on this show. It isn't, because they've got that Saturday night's main event. So, they're certainly diversifying their matches and making sure that they've got enough to fill all the different areas that they need to fill. But hey, somehow this PLE on Saturday will be 3 hours in length. And if that means, 2, 3, 4 video packages that are 10 minutes each, so be it. But yeah, you're looking at a smooth 3-hour show. And I think that's the sweet spot for WWE right now.
Are we surprised here, Adam, that Cody Rhodes isn't anywhere to be found on this? I mean, this is your WWE champion. This is your top babyface. At least, I know there's a 1A, 1B scenario going on there with Roman Reigns, but Cody's been a workhorse, and to not have him on a big 4 PLE, that seems a little weird.
I think so. I'm a little surprised by that, but I also think because the build is, like, to Zach's point about Saturday night's main event, I think they're prepping, or at least saving that Kevin Owens build and that match for that event. You got to give him something there, right? You can't give everybody everything all at one time, especially if you're building 2 of these events at one shot. So I'm a little surprised. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little surprised, but not completely floored by that decision. I think it was purposeful.
All right. Well, we do have 3 title matches that are going to be on this show that we know as of this moment. Again, we're filming this on a Tuesday afternoon. So it's Wednesday now if you're watching the premiere of this. So any matches that gets added beyond Tuesday, hey, sorry, we ain't going to talk about on this program. So like I said, TK got us last week. Hopefully Mr. Levesque has got everything nailed down so far for this show. Let's start with the battle for the United States Championship as LA Knight, defends against Shinsuke Nakamura. Holy hell, Shinsuke Nakamura is back in the mix. About damn time.
Yeah.
And guys, this is, man, right? So, okay, there's a lot I want to say about Shinsuke Nakamura. I have always been a Shinsuke Nakamura guy, and I feel like I have been more of a Shinsuke Nakamura guy than WWE has. And the last 2 times that he's really been put in a prominent spot, he's had multiple chances to win world title matches, and both Vince McMahon and Triple H ran the same playbook, which was this mother effer is going to lose every single damn time. And his last run that he had against Seth Rollins last summer, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this has got to be it. This has got to be his time. All the vignettes that they put together, they finally realized how to really package him and make him interesting and play to his strengths on television, I'm like, that's a guy I can buy as a world champion. They didn't do it. They didn't pull the trigger at him. Then they took him off TV, and now all of a sudden he's back and he's challenging LA Knight. So I have a hard time believing that they're finally going to push Shinsuke Nakamura in any kind of significant role, but do I think he could win the United States Championship? Yeah, I kind of think he could, and I kind of think he will this weekend. I'm going to go with Shinsuke Nakamura, really kind of present him in a way of, okay, at least to a certain degree, this time it's really going to matter for Shinsuke Nakamura, and then maybe LA Knight can win it again down the line. I think he's had a good first run. Doesn't mean he's not going to win it again down the line, but I really feel like if we're going to buy into Shinsuke Nakamura this time, he's got to come out of the gate swinging, and I think this time he's going to beat LA Knight. It would be stupid to have him lose this first matchup between these two.
I agree 100%. I'm a big Nakamura fan. Who was it? Just refresh me. Who was it that he faced after he won the Royal Rumble? That was AJ Styles, right? Am I getting
that was AJ
correct?
Styles.
Yeah. I thought they dropped the ball by not putting the title on him then. I thought what's that?
Pun intended?
Pun intended, yes.
Yes. Because he lost that match, and then they literally just spent the next 6 months trading crotch shots. Yes. Like, that's literally what they did. That was the entire story for 6 freaking months.
Let's have him do crotch shots. Zach, such good shit. God damn good. Hit him in the dick. But no, I digress. You probably have to bleep that out. Sorry, pal.
No, I'm playing it. I don't give a
dude.
crap.
Let it run, man. Let it run. I thought they dropped the ball after.
We're professional here at SI, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
This is what we do here at SI. But I thought they dropped the ball when they didn't have him go over on Styles. I thought they dropped the ball when they didn't have him go over on Seth Rollins this past run. I am in the same camp as you. I felt like that entire vignette setup, it was very Aleister Black, right? It was very like when they did that whole, what was it, when he was reading the books during the pandemic era, and then they just dropped the segment and it was done. It was like, well, what the hell was that all about? That was really
the
good.
guy who was like begging for somebody to pick a fight with me. And
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, finally, like, Cesaro does it, and they're like, okay, finally, we're going to do something with this. And they have like one match, and then, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the same.
He's right back to, somebody pick a fight with me, please. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, it's like I want to see this guy do something. And especially with this mysterious angle, he kind of came out of nowhere. There's really no build to it, which is what makes me believe that LA Knight's going to drop the title this weekend. I just have that feeling like Nakamura is going to come in, and this is finally going to be his time. And I hope that this will then lead to something with the world title picture, because he's long overdue for something. He's been with the company long enough, and I hope they go back to that position where they try to do something with Seth Rollins, and maybe he overtakes Gunther at some point. But I think LA Knight's losing this week. I'm going with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, I think the world title for Shinsuke that ship has sailed. Unfortunately, I just don't see it happening, and I'm not going to believe it's going to happen until it actually happens, Zach. But
fair.
I mean, what kind of message would it send if you bring him back? He attacks LA Knight a couple of times, and then he just goes out and he just loses at Survivor Series. Like, I don't see how or why you book this match this quickly if Shinsuke's not winning.
Fool me once, shame on me.
Fool me, can't get fooled again. Yeah,
shame on you. I'm going with LA Knight here, and I honestly hope that I'm wrong with this because I think you guys make a case for why it makes sense to go with Shinsuke Nakamura right now. The new look since he's come back has been cool. He's got kind of a fresh feel to him, fresh presentation. It took a bit. I think he's shed some of those, oh yeah, don't remember that this guy's a big loser. Yeah. At the core of it though, I just don't think he's important to what WWE is doing here long term. I think LA Knight is still the guy, and while winning the United States title for Shinsuke Nakamura would be a big benefit for him. It'd be like another singles title. It'd be somebody for LA Knight to chase. I think it checks all those boxes. I just won't believe it until I see it. If he's belted up, all right, good. This is a good thing. But until there's some clear direction that they're really going to get behind this guy for whatever reason, if it's to make somebody else or otherwise, I think he's still just a role player in my eyes for as good as he is. So I'm taking LA Knight for that reason.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, they either brought back Nakamura for one of two reasons. Either they are finally going to give him a singles title run that actually matters, right? Because it's like anytime they have put a championship on him in the past, on the main roster, mind you, whether it's been the Intercontinental Championship or the United States title, it's basically to turn that belt into a parking lot. It's to have somebody carry it and then not defend it. Does anybody remember that Shinsuke Nakamura run where he defended it twice in like he had like the Dean Ambrose run where he defended it twice over the course of like several months, and then he dropped it on like some Nashville, like I don't even know, like some Nashville house show. I feel like he dropped it on. I can't remember, but it was something stupid. I remember being so pissed off at the time. I'm like, what are we doing with this guy? So they've either brought him back to finally give him a legitimate singles title run, or they've brought him back because they're out of heels to have to have LA Knight beat. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm the fact that he's not competing for a world title gives me a glimmer of hope, and it just makes too much sense to put it on him this weekend. And then LA Knight can win it down the line. Yeah. We'll see. The Intercontinental Championship is going to be on the line. This is another one of those where, honestly, like this matchup for me feels like, Ospreay Fletcher last week, where it was like, hey, we win. Like the fans win on this one regardless. I think this is probably arguably the most predictable match on the show. I don't see Bron Breakker dropping the championship again. I understand why they hot-shotted it to Jey Uso and then put it right back on Bron Breakker. They kind of used it as a storyline tool to get Jey Uso back involved in the whole Bloodline saga. So I understand why they did that. It was a nice little tip to Jey to have him win the Intercontinental Championship. I would love to see Sheamus become a Grand Slam champion. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like this is the moment that it happens. If anything, I feel like this is just a good showcase match for Ludwig Kaiser, who is the guy's got everything you want. He's an absolute stud. He's one of these guys that I hope gets a run. And Adam, I think having Gunther as the world heavyweight champion and Ludwig as the Intercontinental champion would be a heck of a dynamic on Monday Night Raw for Imperium. I don't see it happening, at least not right now. It feels like this is Bron Breakker's match to lose. I'm picking him to retain.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm going to go with you on this one too. I think Bron Breakker retains for a couple of reasons. I think that if you're
now, are you just going with me step for step because you had a really bad full gear? Is that what happened?
I don't want to talk about it, dude. All right, let me the hell alone. I don't want to talk about it. I really, guys, I was cooked in that one. Okay, no, I think if there's an opportunity to showcase Ludwig Kaiser here in a way that is going to propel him to the next level. So I could see Kaiser taking the title at the Rumble, right? I can see that happening more than I can see it happening now. And I think that is the story that leads you to Sheamus becoming a Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania. I think that's where they hold off that match too. I think Sheamus becomes the Grand Slam champion. He wins the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. But I think before then, I definitely think you see a Ludwig Kaiser title run at that point. But I just don't see it happening right now. I think this is the match, that intermediate match where like everybody looks great. Like you said, we all win here. It's going to be a slobber knocker, right? But I think Bron Breakker retains the title in this one.
Banger. It's always a banger when Sheamus is involved, right, Zach?
That's right. Banger after banger after banger. Right. Yeah, and I'm with you guys. Taking Bron Breakker here. I mean, look, he's been kind of all over the place in terms of work heel right now, and then we're gonna like kind of have you square off with Gunther and kind of be a baby face, and now you're gonna wrestle Kaiser, and like we kind of want you to. He's just really been all over the place, and I think he's very he's a big part of their future. As far as like who are the next round of stars going to be, like he's up there top of the list, and at some point you got to like get him on the track that you want him to go on. And here, in a triple threat match, it just doesn't make sense for Sheamus to get that crowning moment in a match like this. It doesn't make sense for Kaiser to get that moment either in a match like this. So I think you just do some really cool stuff. You have a really awesome match, showcase Bron Breakker, spears and running the ropes and all that jazz that you do with him, and then have him win. I mean, and that's that. I mean, this is it's a little predictable, but sometimes in pro wrestling, that's the exact way you want to go. And I think that's that's the case here.
Yeah, predictable doesn't mean that it's going to be bad.
Right.
The World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Gunther defending his title against the man he beat for it in Damian Priest. This has been kind of a strange build, guys. Damian Priest has pretty much just been punking Gunther at every single turn, and he not the build to a World Heavyweight title match that we typically see out of the ring general, which to me, look, I get it. Damian Priest, he's more over than he's ever been. He's got the crowd behind him. He's being booked like a total freaking badass right now, and he's got Gunther on the run. That said, there's no way in hell Gunther is not coming back to the United States as World Heavyweight Champion. Like, I mean, I peeked at the betting odds. I peeked just a little bit at the betting odds because I was curious to see which way the money was going on this one. It is overwhelmingly in favor of Gunther. I do think Damian Priest will win another world title at some point, maybe the WWE title down the line. He's another one of these guys, even though, I mean, I think he's 42. He doesn't look it at all. Like, age is just a number at this point. The guy is just now coming into his prime, in my opinion. I think they got years that they can build him as one of their top level guys. It's not going to be this weekend. Gunther's going to win at him.
Yeah, I agree with you again. Sorry, Rick. This is not on purpose. I happen to agree with this.
Did you guys call each other before this or something?
I mean, usually we text and we're like, "Hey, man, yeah, do you want to do this?
You
want to mess with Zach? Hey, listen,
I'm going to mess with Zach today."
Rick, yeah, listen, I really want to mess with him today. I really want to get under his skin. Now, excuse me. I think I do think that Damian Priest is factored into Papa H's long-term trajectory, right? He's definitely one of those people that is going to be that guy for him for the next several years, regardless of his age, right? I just don't see how you take the belt off of Gunther now in this
ahead of Mania season, right?
Right. Because you figure, right, like, because you got to remember, right, like Seth Rollins is still in the mix somewhere. He's going to come back eventually for that belt, right? Drew McIntyre is eventually going to come back. What about CM Punk? Are we going to revisit that Mania match at some point? Does it involve Seth Rollins or does it involve Gunther, right? There's lots of talk and there's lots of different things that are happening inside of there. I just think the Mania, I don't see Gunther losing the belt before Mania, if that, because I think they're trying to build him again as that dominant champion. I don't think it's going to last as long as his Intercontinental Championship run, but I don't see them taking it off him now. Yeah, so I'm going to
not a knock on him. You got too many dudes.
You do, and
you got too many dudes to have a guy have a six. Especially after Roman just had a 4-year reign. Like,
yeah, the roster's far too deep for anything like that to happen again. It's not. It's just the same reason
to hold it through Mania. Like,
I don't see it. I'm going with Gunther on this one.
Now, Zach, if I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it a million times. Not every title run needs to be an endurance test in the Triple H era. It feels like his main goal has been, I'm going to reset all the freaking record books and wipe everything away from the old regime. I mean, back to back, we had Bianca and the Usos and Gunther and Roman Reigns, and it was just like, boom, record after record after record after record.
Making a statement.
Don't need it, but I'd still be stunned if Gunther's came to an end, honestly, anytime within the next few months. I personally think it's going to be him and Cena at Mania, but I don't know. Anything can happen between now and then.
That's the biggest tell here as to why he's not losing the title. I mean, I think that he's got a match with John Cena like on the horizon, whether it's at WrestleMania or whether it's before that or whether it's after that. You know, it doesn't make sense to do that match without the title. Like, if they it can be a big match without the title. There's no question about it. But, you know, Gunther is your current champion and John Cena is like the star legend. And like, it just makes sense to put those two together. So you don't take the title off of him until you do that piece of business, amongst a slew of other reasons. Like Damian Priest, you know, good on him. I mean, the reactions that he's been getting on Raw, like, they're crazy. They're like top 5 reactions across the week in WWE, and really like AEW too. Like it's pretty impressive, you know, what he's been able to do. The thing is, you know, you got to credit Gunther for some of that momentum too, because he's just the perfect heel to play off of for Priest. Yesterday on Raw, they're like, Gunther is like just doing just great work selling like the lack of confidence and trying to present like he has some and doesn't. Like, it's really good pro wrestling acting, but Priest, he stands on that foundation a little bit, and that's not a knock on him. It's just good work between the two of them. But the bottom line is, Gunther's the priority. He's only been champion for a few months here. It's just not the time. And Priest will get another shot if he keeps up the work that he's doing. So Gunther all the way and definitively. But it's more of a let's go with Gunther here because he's a priority, not because, Damian Priest isn't in a position to win it, because I don't think that's true either.
Right.
Yeah. But again, like you said, the crowd reactions have been absolutely insane. At some point, both he and Rhea are going to be world champions again at the same time.
Yeah, that's
if you're not going to do that,
yeah,
I will,
what are we doing here?
I will stand on this. If you're not going to do that, they should beat Finn and JD for the tag team titles. Don't at me. Or go ahead and at me. I don't.
I'm just saying, Rhea for the men's Intercontinental Championship.
I'm just saying.
I would have been on board with that, but now that they literally just introduced the women's IC
Don't
title,
Don't care. Give it to her. I asked her about it, and she was like, "Absolutely, I want to do it." I'm like, "What are we waiting for, Papa H? Cook it up."
She's bigger than a third of the male roster on
Cook it up.
And that's not a knock on the guys. That's just damn. She got it.
The checkbook, they'd be printing money.
Here, well, that's perfect segue. We got Team Rhea going up against is it Team Rhea or is it Team Bianca? They got Bianca front and center on the thing here, but I digress. This is Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley's world, and we're just living in it right now. I'm not gonna lie. This build to me has been a little bit convoluted at times, trying to interweave all these different women's storylines together, because it kind of feels like, for as well as they built up the Bloodline versus Bloodline saga, even though they did not need to throw Bronson Reed and CM Punk into the mix, they could have done 4-on-4 and just left it there because that's what the story is. I'm not even mad at those two being involved in this matchup, and we'll get to that. For as much time and effort and planning as it seems like it went into the men's WarGames match, for the women's WarGames match, it feels like it was kind of like 4 weeks ago. They were like, "Oh shit, we got to do that too." Damn. Okay, how are we? Let's start pulling pieces together. Okay, well, obviously we got two centerpieces in Rhea and Liv, and well, damn, Rhea broke her orbital bone. Can she do this match or not? What's going on here? But I will say, it's picked up in the last week and a half. And it all centers around somebody, honestly, who is not going to be in this match now, in Jade Cargill. And it's going to be a very interesting dynamic here because, one, we got a whodunit on our hands in WWE, which,
those are
not always a good thing. Not always a good thing. They haven't really been great at executing those in the past, but a good one, could propel somebody. So we don't know who attacked Jade. Could it be somebody who is on this team? Obviously, Bianca doesn't trust Bayley, who has been inserted into this match for Jade Cargill. As far as Bayley is concerned, she's got beef with Bianca. We know she's got a past history here with Io Sky, so that's another interesting dynamic there. Rhea doesn't give a damn. She just wants to get her hands on Liv Morgan. And then, honestly, the heels here are the aligned front here. They just all want to take everybody down. There is going to be some chaos. There is going to be some kind of, infighting amongst the babyface team on Rhea's side. All that saying, somehow, some way, they're winning this matchup. Team Rhea is going to find a way to win this. Honestly, much to the chagrin, I think, of Bianca Belair. And if you look at the fact that the last two WarGames matches have really been carried by Damage Control, and Damage Control was forced to put somebody else over back-to-back years, I think this is Io's time to shine. I think Io, that she put a trash can on her head, have her jump off the top of the cage one more time, and then, her and Bayley can team up for old time's sake. I think they are going to get the win on this one. I think Team Damage Control here, they finally get a chance to go over. If I'm picking somebody to eat the pin, I'm sorry, I love her. Candice LeRae to me. She's got the, I'm here to eat the pin all on this, although I'm just happy that they're using her, and she's going to get a chance to shine in this match because she is hardcore to the bone. So I'm hoping she can make a name for herself with a strong performance here and get some fans behind her. But this one's going to be absolute chaos, much like the build is, and I just got a hunch somehow, some way the baby faces are going to go over in this one, and Damage Control is finally going to get a win inside WarGames, Adam.
Yeah, dude. I'm with you on Bayley given the pin. I think she's going to be the one that wins it for the team. I think, like you said, though, I agree with that. It felt a little like hodgepodgey the past couple of weeks, where it was just like, okay, let's just kind of like jam a bunch of people together.
Yeah.
But once the Jade Cargill news hit, and you're like, oh, okay, well, now we actually have a story on our hands, right? I think it might be Naomi who's making the turn here. I think she might be the one that's doing this. I don't know for sure. It's possible. There's plenty of time to build this up.
I don't know what sense that makes, though. Like, honestly, because I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, why? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't think it's Bayley. They obviously want us to think it's Bayley.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. But it's definitely going to be thought that it's Bayley, but who better of a person to do it than Naomi? And I think we're going to figure out the whys coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I'm right.
And you're not the only one. I can't imagine what the motive would be. Well, I mean, listen, that to me has Tucker turning on Otis. Like, why? It makes no sense.
That was a mess. Let's talk. That was a.
I know. God. I'm not saying it would be exactly that. I'm just saying
0 sense.
Like, you better have a damn good reason for why Naomi would just randomly attack one of her BFFs backstage.
I'm just saying it's
and it's not possible. And it like, and I know Jade is like legitimately injured. At least those are the reports. She's got a neck problem. So, but if you're going to do that, why wouldn't it be Bianca, who is constantly like she's friends with Naomi, but so is Bayley, and Bianca is constantly giving Naomi, shit about being friends with Bayley. So like Bianca's always trying to start stuff with Bayley and this, that, and the other thing. So if she's going to attack somebody, it'd be Bianca. That's what it makes sense storyline wise, but I digress. But anyway, you're going with the baby faces on this.
I'm going with the baby faces as well. I think Bayley's going to be the one to pin. I think again, Io Sky has shined in every single war game she's ever been a part of, and I'm excited to see what kind of shenanigans she comes up with. I think Rhea's going to give a freaking beating to Liv Morgan when she gets her hands on. I mean, that is going to be ruthless. For some reason, I feel like Tiffany Stratton might take the pin in this one. I don't think it's going to hurt her. But I could see her taking the pin. But in a perfect world, like you said, Candice LeRae is going to be the one who eats the pin. But no, I'm going with Team Babyface on this one.
Although, Zach, they've been pinning Nia a lot lately, which is something that has not happened a ton in her career.
No, not at all. Not at all. Last night was a surprise in that regard too. I'm either going to have a really good night on Saturday or it's going to be real rough.
You're going to have a full gear night like me.
I'm going to take the heels to win this year. And it's for the reason that you guys have like been talking about, which is like the Bianca Bayley dynamic. I think you have a storyline there where they don't connect and that costs them the match. I also think that, look, you're building to like a Rhea Ripley title win over Liv Morgan, right? Mm-hmm. At some point. Can they get it to WrestleMania? I don't know. But I think that's probably the plan at this point, but who knows if they can stretch it out that long. Either way, I think like with the core storyline here being Rhea is just going to team with whoever she needs to. She just wants to get her hands on Liv. Like, I don't think if you have that title match looming, you can't give away the farm too much right now. Which, to me, it makes sense for like Liv still to have that carrot win over Rhea. And so you don't see Rhea or her team or any way, shape, or form her get a victory over Team Liv Morgan. So for that reason, I'm going to say Liv pins Naomi in this one to stay strong. Another opportunity to like just solidify her as a champion, get her some credibility. You keep that Rhea moment on the table, and you move on. This prediction also connects in with my other WarGames prediction. So the whole picture will be painted here in a minute.
Yeah, but at the same time, right? Like, you've got to build up other women on the Raw roster, right? Because if it's not Rhea Ripley who takes the title from Liv, it's at this point it's got to be Io Sky, right? And she still has a world title match coming up, right? They haven't given her that yet, have they?
So no, they've not.
Okay, yeah. So she still has that coming up, which is why, in my mind, it doesn't always have to be about Rhea and Liv in this situation. It can be about continuing to build back Io Sky and giving her a win here, which is why I think Damage Control does get the win, but I think, Bayley is going to be fine. I think she's going to be in the finals for the United States title match coming up at Saturday night's main event. I apologize to Chelsea Green and anybody else who wants to see her win that title. I think she will, but I think she'll be the second person to win that title, not the first, which is why. And it's not just because I wrote an article calling my shot about Bayley winning it before the bracket even came out. All right.
Aging like milk. I hope it does not, sir.
Well, right. I feel good at the moment. Right. It's a big pay-per-view, Saturday night's main event. No disrespect to anybody else, but you want to put the biggest stars you have on that card. I think a matchup Naomi and Bayley, which could also play into WarGames as well, if it does turn out to be Naomi who is the big baddie in this whole Jade Cargill situation. So I think there's a lot more that they can do to build off of that than just having Liv, another cheap Liv Morgan win at some point over Rhea Ripley. So I think there's a lot more that you can focus on instead of just those two heading into WrestleMania season. And honestly, if it's not going to be Io and it's not going to be Rhea Ripley, I genuinely, I have no clue. I have no clue who could face Liv at I have no idea. I have no clue.
Yeah. It's a slide
what the direction might be in Las Vegas next year.
Oh, man.
We got the Bloodline saga. And to me, gentlemen, this comes down to one thing. Can Roman Reigns and company trust CM Punk? I cannot tell you how ecstatic I was, how happy I was that this is the direction that they decided to go. I know everybody looked at Bronson Reed being put together with Solo Sikoa's group, which, boy, that guy, it fits like a glove. It is perfect.
Yes,
a
sir.
perfect fit, even though he's an Aussie. Doesn't matter. It just fits perfectly. It's like he's their long-lost cousin or something, right? Like it's duck to water. Bravo.
Perfect.
And a great spotlight moment for him too, as well. I hope this guy shines, and I hope he's the star of this because he's another guy I feel like could be one of these upper echelon heel types that they really, really need right now outside of the Bloodline. But everybody looked at that and went, well, clearly they'll just do Seth Rollins, right? That seems to make the most sense. But I love the fact that they didn't just have one match with Solo Sikoa screwing him over be enough for him to go back on his promise that he made that he would never team with Roman Reigns again after everything that those two have been through. That would have been a weak sauce catalyst for him to say, yeah, all right, screw it, I'll team with Roman Reigns. No, I'm so glad that they went with the CM Punk angle. Paul Heyman calling in a favor. A lot of history there between him and Roman. That said, there's no way Seth Rollins is not getting involved in this in some way, shape, or form, right? They're not keeping Seth. I know it's inside of WarGames, but we all know there are ways to get inside of a cage. Yeah. You've got Solo Sikoa screwing him over. You've got Bronson Reed. Obviously, there's still bad blood there. You've got Roman Reigns involved in this. You've got CM Punk involved in this. There's so much that ties Seth Rollins to this match, Adam. I cannot envision a world where he doesn't get involved either during or post, which I think could help set up his WrestleMania season, which I do think is going to be against CM Punk this year. So I know everybody is going to look at what Paul Heyman was wearing this Friday on SmackDown, where he's basically dressed exactly like Solo Sikoa. So obviously there's people, Triple H has got us guessing right at this point. He's putting Easter eggs. He's putting us, is it a red herring? Who knows? It all comes down to trust. Can they trust Paul Heyman? Can they trust CM Punk? Will Seth Rollins get involved? Those are the three big questions for this match. I don't know on this one. Honestly, flip a coin. I feel like the new version of the Bloodline really needs it but they have been so dominant in this stretch up until this point. This was the moment where it's like, okay, now the numbers game is no longer going to be in their favor. So again, that's why I think the big story is, can you trust Paul Heyman? But how does Paul Heyman cost them a freaking WarGames match unless CM Punk is a double agent? So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And I don't think it would make a ton of sense to have Paul Heyman be on Solo side after everything that they did to Paul Heyman, put him through a table, made his life a living hell. I mean, he was on national television begging CM Punk to take him with him, which was also a great setup for this matchup. Yeah. I think the whole dress up thing is a red herring. I don't buy into it whatsoever. I know Paul Heyman is one to always align himself with wherever is best suited for his own personal survival, but he finally stood up to that when he said, I do not acknowledge you as my tribal chief, and he went through the Spanish announce table or the commentators table, whatever you want to call it. So I don't think they're going to do that just for him to come back and align himself with Solo Sikoa. So that makes no sense to me. At the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to, there's going to be a moment where CM Punk and Roman Reigns are going to be facing off with one another, and whether or not Seth Rollins gets involved or not, I'm going to go. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm going to reserve my right as the host of the show and let one of you guys sway me the other way. Adam, where are you going with this one?
Man, I got to tell you, dude, I'm struggling with this one too. And I'm sure Zach could tell you the same thing. This is multi-layered in a way that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. I agree with you that Paul Heyman and the dress up and the shirt and the pocket square,
yeah,
it's all bullshit, right? That's all the ruse. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to be Team Solo. I do see though that Heyman's going to go with Punk. I think that's where it's going to go. Because I think that you're going to start to see that, it's the old Cody. You're going to be a chief without a tribe, right? Or a chief without an island, or whatever it was that he said. Heyman's moving on to the next thing. Punk is back, right? Heyman wants to be a part of that run again. So he's going to go and do his own thing. And then once this WarGames match is over, you're going to see the other three kind of disperse and go on to their next things. Because, Jay's got to probably chase again for the Intercontinental title, or maybe he's going to be involved in the World Heavyweight picture again. Jimmy's got to go do his own thing. Sammy's going to go do his own thing. And Roman's going to just kind of be there by himself, right? I think you're definitely going to see an involvement in Seth Rollins in some way, shape, or form. It's fascinating to know how many people are like not realizing. It's like, well, wait a second. Why is Seth Rollins so pissed off? He's the one that started this entire thing in the first place. He's the one that caused this entire tribal chief run, right? Like going all the way back to the break of the Shield. He's the one that caused this. He doesn't really have any reason to be that pissed off other than, at himself. But for all of those reasons, I feel like it's going to be the OG Bloodline picks this one up. I think Roman Reigns is the one who gives the pin. Who it's going to be against, I don't know. I would put my money on probably either Jacob Fatu or maybe Tama Tonga. I don't think it's going to be over Solo. I don't think it's going to be over Bronson. And Bronson Reed, I hope they continue to leave him in the new bloodline, because that guy, he's their Sammy in a totally violent direction, right?
Yeah.
That guy fits in it's like peanut butter and jelly, watching them together. It's just fucking unbelievable. It's incredible. I hope that they continue to keep him in the bloodline and make him a part of it. So I think it's going to be the OG bloodline. I think Roman's going to pin him. And I think it's going to be either Jacob or it's going to be Tama eating the pin. But that's just me.
Well, I agree with you on this, Adam. I think the OG bloodline is gonna take this. And I mean, look, this story is such a good story. The saga of the bloodline. It's back and forth. It's twists and turns, but
nobody would know it better than you, as you've literally
that's true.
The entire thing over the last 4 years, now available on the Takedown on SI.
You should go click on that after you're done watching.
Click on that article. Yes,
I'm going to put that link. I'm going to put the link to the piece in this video. By the way,
thank you. It's fascinating when you break it down, like that, of all the twists and turns, but throughout it though, you had the multiple moments where it's like, okay, we're gonna everything is gonna be right, even for just a second. Jay and Jimmy are back together, or Sammy finally steps up and he cleans Roman's clock. You get that payoff from an audience perspective. They give it to the fans, like, hey, take this. You've been on this roller coaster. Here's the fun payoff at the end. And they need one here. I really think they need one here. And I really think that if Paul Heyman wasn't back and he didn't come back and he didn't have any like impact on the 5-man team, I think you could argue like, okay, maybe the heels are going to go over again. But once you bring Heyman back and he, in storyline exerts that wise man influence and he brings back CM Punk and you've got this team and you're going to go in, like, you gotta put that storyline over. You gotta like give them that win. If you don't, it's like, all right, well, how much does Paul Heyman really mean to the bloodline? I mean, okay, he came back and he brought in this guy and they didn't get along and they couldn't trust him and everything went to hell. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, you can take that and go with that if you want. But also, sometimes I think it's just better to put a bow on what you've done. And this is like a clear end of the chapter, end of this bloodline chapter to me. And OG Bloodline's gotta get that W, and I think they will.
You put it perfectly though about the bow on the story, right? Like what again, it's like there's going to be a continuation of the Roman Reigns arc, right? Like the redemption story, but like the bloodline as we knew it is going to be over, right? Where does the Rock fit into this too? Like, are we going to see Dwayne at this event?
Rock is going to be
he's filming Moana, live action Moana.
Oh, well, so okay, but I mean maybe he shows up in the big outfit, that would be fun.
I mean, yeah.
But he hovers though. He's still going to play a part of it
in the sky. That's what I mean.
Somewhere.
Like eventually it's going to probably be brought out that he's the guy that's overseeing, the new bloodline, right?
The Rock comes out at the end. He gives a rock bottom to Roman Reigns. He allows Solo to pin him. Then he grabs the microphone and he just says, "You're welcome." And then he
That's right. We wrap it right there. We just get it done. We just wrap it up right there, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all that happens. I don't think we're going to see The Rock back until we actually get into the build for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm sitting here going, okay, well, what's next after this? Because like you said, you put a bow on this, and I got to think of, okay, well, they already gave the Bloodline 2.0 their big win, right? They had Solo pin Roman Reigns. So they've already done that. So to me, now that this version of the OG Bloodline is at full strength, now it makes sense to say, hey, even odds, it's time for them to go over. And I think I'm going to go back to the default of, we are on the eve of WrestleMania season here. Which team is going to have the bigger plans heading into WrestleMania season? Who needs the momentum builder? I feel like whether it's the Usos, whether it's Roman Reigns, whether it's Sami Zayn, CM Punk down the line, I think all of those guys have huge major WrestleMania plans, like sign, seal, and deliver. Like you can sign it and pen, which makes me feel like, yeah, they need this. And the next evolution of the Bloodline saga isn't necessarily Roman and his crew versus Solo. It's going to be Roman versus The Rock, right? Because The Rock, when he came back at Bad Blood, he pointed at Roman and he pointed at, Cody and Jimmy to a certain extent, but that's just because he was standing there. And he said, 3 of you, you're out, you're done. So whether or not The Rock is able to come into town and maybe he inserts himself here, I don't see that happening. But it's always a possibility. It's always a possibility if he can fly in for an event and get out of there. But I think just because the build is going to be bigger for Team Roman heading into WrestleMania season, I'm ultimately going to go with the OG Bloodline on this one as well. Because I do think Seth is going to get involved and just cause absolute chaos. But I think in the end, it's going to be the OGs that end up going over. So there we go. There we have it. Not a lot of dissension this time around. Yeah, really. I mean, me and Adam picked. Damn it, I don't feel good after your full gear picks. I don't feel good going down the line. Straight.
What the hell, man?
Now listen, I feel like I need to go back and change something.
What was the one I picked? And everybody was like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. It's never going to happen." And it happened just like I said it did. You're welcome.
Okay, Maui. We don't think about that.
Okay.
We don't think about that. What you picked? Yeah, you said Roman was going to get pinned in one match. You said Roman was going to get pinned.
And you were both like, "No."
You also picked like 3 title matches in the last pay-per-view, and none of them came to fruition. I'm just throwing that out.
I don't remember.
And the one you did pick is the one that actually happened.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I can't hear you. I'm going under a title. I'm going under a tunnel right now. It's a lot of distortion. I can't quite hear nothing you're saying.
Oh man.
We appreciate it, guys. Man, look at this. We actually had less matches than the full gear, and we went longer. Anyway, that's just how it works. That's how it works with us. We appreciate everybody who stayed for the entire video. Thank you guys so much for hopping in here on the new Takedown on SI YouTube channel. Again, make sure to give this video a like, maybe a share. Really would appreciate a subscribe as well, and turn on those notifications for all of our great interview content that's going to be coming out as well. Enjoy Survivor Series weekend. And yeah, I guess we'll be back for Saturday night's main event in a couple of weeks. So, hey, guys, take next week off, will you? But still right
sure.
Oh, sure. As far as the videos go, sorry, go ahead. Take next week off. It's Thanksgiving. I appreciate you. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, as well.